Hey guys, it's Art from Art's Model Trains. I'm here today to talk about passenger cars. All right, so like you guys, I have a lot of passenger sets. I've got the Hiawatha, the Polar Express, I've got some Southern Pacific, Union Pacific, New York Central, 2 sets of New York Central passenger cars. I have a lot of passenger cars. I'm not actually going to talk about these premium sets. I mean, when you buy passenger cars, you're going to buy your premium sets like these. What I actually want to talk to you about is some of these other passenger sets I have, why I bought them, and what I really like about them. All right, so let's start with some basics. What do I usually buy when I buy passenger sets outside of buying those premium sets like I mentioned before, the Hiawatha and the Polar Express? When those sets come around, Southern Crescent, Blue Comet, those things, you're buying the whole set. I will bring back the Blue Comet in a minute though and talk a little bit more about that one. But outside of that, what I actually have found is I follow a couple of different kind of principles that have led me to a very interesting type of passenger car that I buy. First, I have discovered that at least on my layout, I prefer a particular size passenger car and a particular number of passenger cars. Somewhere around 5 or 6 looks good on my layout. If I get shorter than 5, like 4 passenger cars, the train just looks a little too short. And if I go longer, like my Hiawatha is 7 passenger cars, that's a pretty long train for my layout. Again, that is layout specific. My curves are 054 on that side, 048 on this side. So, you know, again, if you have a much bigger layout, you can go much bigger. But for me, this works. While we're on the subject of size, I actually am not a huge fan of those big 21-inch passenger cars. What I actually prefer is something more in like the 18, 19-inch range. I have found that those look the best, again, on the curves I have. And also just behind the locomotives, they tend to look a little more appropriate. Again, I feel like the 21 inches, even on some big layouts and club layouts, things like that, they can just look enormous. So I tend to stick to 18 and 19-inch passenger cars. And obviously then third, I'm looking for value. Again, I mentioned I have a lot of passenger sets. I'm not looking to break my bank when I'm buying passenger sets. Again, outside of those premium sets where you're basically, you know, you're in and you're going to spend the money to get those sets because they match the locomotive and you want the full set. So what do I look for when I'm buying passenger cars? What I've actually found is MTH makes these 5-pack of heavyweight, or in this case, streamlined passenger cars, which are perfect for what I'm looking for. And let's go over why. Again, size-wise, 18 to 19 inches long, they meet the size requirement I want. Price-wise, you can get these 5-packs, depending on where you're looking, for the $200 to $300 range. I bought a couple of my sets, obviously off of Trainz.com, this New York Central set and this Southern Pacific set. And I got this Union Pacific set, if you could see it over my shoulder here, at York from Vince's Trains. All of which I bought for less than $300 for a 5-car set. And the best part is, with these MTH sets, when you buy the 5-packs, there's often 2-car or single-car add-ons. So I talked about in my York video how I bought the full dome car for my Southern Pacific set. I have found, but have not bought yet, the 2-car add-on pack for these 5 New York Central passenger cars. These sets are great. Again, 5 cars works great on my layout. But the other thing I love about them is they're very versatile, right? I could take this New York Central set of heavyweights and run it behind a Dreyfus, a Niagara. I run it behind my Consolidation. I'm trying to think of what other New York Central engines I've run this behind. I've run it behind diesels. They're a great set to have, very versatile again. My Southern Pacific set behind my GS2 and my GS4. And the Union Pacific I've pulled with a big boy Union Pacific diesel up on the wall up there I've pulled them with. And my Challenger also has pulled them. So again, makes it nice and versatile. So you're not buying 17 sets of passenger cars. You buy 1 set of passenger cars for multiple uses. Really great. The other great thing about these passenger cars is the amount of detail they come with. Again, these 5-packs, they come with great detail underneath. I don't know if you can make that out on the camera there. Full interiors, nice detail on the ends of the cars. And what's great is they're fully upgradable. So you pop these open, and I've added people to all the cars. And in the case of the Southern Pacific cars, I've actually replaced all the incandescent lighting with LED strips. There's vestibules at each end of the car, which was a perfect space for me to hide the little AC to DC board and then just run the LED strip down the top of the car itself. So again, very versatile, very easy for you to buy them at a low price point and upgrade them to meet your needs. And again, going back to the Blue Comet I mentioned before, that was a locomotive and 4-passenger car set that I bought from Trainz at York a couple of springs ago. I was able to go online and through my friend Eric Trainman, find the 2-car add-on pack. And again, that just shows the versatility of these 5-car sets from MTH. They were run a number of times. So these are actually fairly old. I don't remember the exact date on these New York Centrals I bought, but I think they're early 2000s. So they last, they're in good shape. You can get them, like I said, as a great value and find the add-ons because they've been run so many times. So I'm going to leave you guys with a few shots of these passenger sets running around my layout. But let me know in the comments, guys, below, what do you think about passenger cars? How do you collect your passenger cars? How do you fill out your collection without breaking the budget? Be really interested to see if there's some other ideas out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.